For some people, going to court and confronting the man who raped you is difficult, but ultimately empowering. For me, I have never felt more ashamed, degraded, and powerless in my life.
I pictured this moment differently. I waited 3 years, 10 months, and 1 day before I addressed my rapist in court. I thought I would feel stronger or a sense of accomplishment. Instead, I felt like I had barely survived the legal system. I felt even more broken than I already was to begin with. I got justice, but it sure didn't feel that way. I decided to document my experience going through the legal system as a survivor, to give a glimpse into what this process is actually like, capturing the back and forth travel from where I live in New York City to where the assault happened in Los Angeles, logging video diaries, and recording my victim impact statement from inside the courtroom all took place within the last 2 years of the process.
That's why we're here today. Because of what you did almost 4 years ago, the night you raped me. What I want you to know is how insignificant, less than human, and broken I have felt as a result.
For every 1,000 people who are raped in the US, only 230 of them report their rape, and fewer than 5 perpetrators will ever be put behind bars. My rapist was one of them. In 2014, I was a junior in college celebrating the end of final exams. A man who I didn't know drugged me at a local college bar and took me to his apartment. He sexually assaulted me while I was incoherent. And a day later, I found out he had taken videos of what he had done to me while I was unconscious. At first, I barely even realized what had happened, but I knew if he did this to me, it was only a matter of time until he did it again to someone else. I decided to report him to the police.
I did it because I couldn't stand the thought of you doing this to another woman and getting away with it. I felt responsible to report my rape. It's not the right decision for everyone, but for me it was.
I thought filing a police report, having video evidence, and getting a rape kit done would be enough for people to believe me. It wasn't. A rape kit can provide DNA evidence when a sexual assault has occurred. The process involves standing naked on a piece of butcher paper while nurses collect DNA samples and take pictures of your body, followed by an internal examination with lots of poking, prodding, and swabbing. It's a highly invasive exam that takes hours to complete. As horrible as it was, I had to do it if I wanted any chance of this going to court. I waited 6 months for my case to even get picked up by the district attorney at the LA County Sex Crimes Unit, after they decided it was strong enough to hold up in court. And while I'm forever grateful for this, I quickly learned the reality of my situation, that the justice system isn't set up to protect survivors. I became my own advocate. I would have to call to get updates on hearings about my own case, only to be left devastated after being told it was postponed again. I would have to calm myself down after having a private investigator follow me and confront me at my place of work. He came and found me in the newsroom and presented me with papers basically saying that the defendant is asking for my phone records. At one point, I flew myself out to LA to beg a judge to stop granting my perpetrator's wishes to postpone hearings. In the court process, you're assigned someone to help you. They're your DA, a public official who acts as a prosecutor on behalf of the state. But they're overworked and understaffed. I would put all of my faith and trust and questions into this person, and I would finally feel some sense of control or understanding. But I ended up having to work with 4 different DAs, each time having to rebuild that relationship all over again and come to terms with the fact that yet again another stranger knew these embarrassing facts about me.
I don't remember what it's like to be living in a never-ending nightmare. I'm not the same young woman you took advantage of in December 2014.
It's confusing to fight to see an end to something like this while dreading it at the same time. As far as you know, it's on. They're selecting the jury tomorrow. Apparently, they didn't have enough jurors to show up today. The idea of going to trial haunted me. Not only did I have to look at the man who took so much life out of me and my family, but I would have to rewatch him doing this through the videos he took. I felt humiliated, angry, and depressed about the way I was being portrayed in front of a room of strangers. They look at those videos of me and they're like, are you sure that wasn't consensual? And it's like, why would I be here right now? Why would I be trying so hard? Why would I be putting up with this for the last 4 years of my life? Trial ended up being one of the most destructive parts of this entire process. The court didn't allow me to be there for my trial outside of my own testimony, since my presence could potentially influence other witnesses' testimonies. So I got to hear all the details from my family who sat through it all. I had an option to let a court-appointed person go in my place to give my testimony, but I knew the reality. If I wasn't there, it would be used against me. To not show up would discredit my validity as a victim.
The purpose for imposing a sentence is to punish conduct. I don't think he's sorry for what he did. I mean, maybe he is. I just don't see that.
The jury found him guilty of 2 felony charges. Two months after, I was given the option to address my rapist. This is called a victim impact statement, similar to what the dozens of women did at the Dr. Nassar sentencing. It's your chance to address the court and address the accused.
I can never wish what happened to me upon another person. If I ever have a daughter, will she experience something like this? Will she be unlucky enough to meet someone like you?
My rapist was sentenced up to 6 years in federal prison and will remain on the sex offender registry for the rest of his life. And while my case is seen as a victory in the eyes of our legal system, my story sadly represents a small minority of cases. This is one of the many reasons we do not see other women coming forward. Regardless of all the evidence, court appearances, and having the freaking LA District Attorney's Office on my side, it was still barely enough to put my rapist behind bars. I'm a cisgender white woman who reported my rape, and this is the reality I faced. So what does this mean for the rest of survivors who don't fit my exact profile? To remind you, 78% of rapes are not reported. And women of color who are even more likely to be assaulted are even less likely to report these incidents. And who can blame them? I'm not sharing my story to discourage others to come forward or to downplay the efforts of those who are fighting for sexual assault survivors. I have immense gratitude for those people who work in these thankless roles and who dedicate their lives to help people like me. I'm sharing my story because my experience doesn't have to be everyone's experience. We need to change the way these cases are processed and the way all survivors are handled. It took the strength of other women coming forward before me to share my story with you, and I hope mine can help the next one.